Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live stream. Hope you're all doing great today. So I am super excited. We're going to turn up the blanks that we made using the split cups last week. So if you didn't tune in last week, we used these cups to pour out the resin. So we basically mixed up each color separately and then poured them. You can see inside there's red, white, and blue in there. That was something I did after the stream, the red, white, and blue one. And then we got gold, green, and blue in this one. And so this is something that I've seen. There are silicone cups, but I recently got that Bamboo Lab printer and I found some 3D printed models. So I just printed them out and I thought, let's give it a shot before I spend money on a silicone mold, which frankly, I don't know that I would even waste my money. I have a 3D printer. I can print as many cups as I want. The cool thing is you can find different models that have different amounts of divisions in them and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, hey, let's give it a shot. Let's see what this does. Is it worth it? How does it compare to like a dirty pour? Because it's kind of similar to that a little bit. So that's what we did last week. I'm pretty excited about the blanks. So here's the results. Got 3 different ones. So we did a silver, purple, and red. And I mean, the outsides of these are looking pretty sweet. I got to be honest. You know, the outside doesn't really tell us what's really going on. And then we did a gold, green, and blue. And this is the 14 karat nugget. So pretty cool looking. I don't know. I mean, you know, these don't look a whole lot different than, I don't know, than like a normal blank that I pour. And then I did, right after the stream, I let one of the cups, you know, the resin cure in there. And so later on, last Saturday, I poured some red, white, and blue ones. Now, a couple things about these. The first batch was this one. And what we did was we poured them into the Gatling mold. We'll get this out. And I want to show you what I did. So I had the 3 colors in the cup. And I kind of was trying to like move it around a little bit and you know, sort of like, I don't know, swirl it up a little bit more. I don't know if that is doing anything. I just thought, okay, let me try and kind of move the cup around. That was on these. Okay, so we're going to turn one of these guys up. I got a couple of Sierra size blanks. So we're going to do that one first. Then on the second round, these guys, what I did was I just dumped it in. I wasn't trying to move the cup around or do anything. I just dumped it in, let it kind of flow down. Then we came back with a stir stick. Okay. So I don't know. I mean, I have a feeling that that's probably kind of, I don't know. I don't know what that'll do. I think that's going to put them a lot closer to what like a normal pour for me would be. And the difference being, I don't know, somewhat similar to a normal pour. It's still going into the hole a little bit differently, but normally what I would do is I would have 2 or 3 cups and I would like go around, do this, you know, and go back and forth and pour like that. So this is basically dumping all the colors at once. Then we're coming back and doing a little bit of a swirl. All right. And then on the third batch, this is the ones that I did off camera, the red, white, and blue. On these, all I did was I just dumped it and I wasn't trying to move the cup around or anything. I just literally let it kind of flow straight down in. All right. And no stick, no stir stick or anything. Just kind of letting it go down, you know, kind of straight, basically. And I wanted to see if there was any difference between those 3 methods, all right? So we're going to turn, there wasn't going to be enough time on the stream. So I've actually pre-turned the red, white, and blue one. And then today what we're going to do is we're going to turn one of these and one of these in the Sierra size, okay? Now, one thing I wanted to mention, I was telling you that I found a material that I really like for bending these copper, you know, making your stir sticks. And I forgot to put a link. So it's called, they even say, it doesn't say on there. Oh, this is for adult use only, guys. So it's basically just 12 gauge copper wire, but it's called half hard. That's the, I don't know, whatever technical term for it. So I'm going to get a link to this if anybody wants this, and it's much more stiff. So the first thing that I bought was this aluminum craft wire. And this is great and all, but it's so bendy that you literally bend the stick when you're using it. So it's easy to form into a shape, but it also just bends out of shape. So this stuff is kind of not so awesome. So I needed something harder. There's also, I think, there's some other name like a soft or something like that, copper, which I don't think is going to be a whole lot better than that other one. That the half hard, that's what you're looking for. All right, so here's a link to that. If anybody wants to grab that to make your own stir stick, I really found that it's really nice. You can also, to do this, you're going to need some tools though. You're going to need some pliers. You might even want to pick up, let's see, let me show you what I had. Like maybe some needle nose. The one thing about bending wires and stuff, like if you grab some needle nose, they got ridges in here, and that kind of jacks up the surface a little bit. So they do sell tools that are like flat and all that kind of stuff, that don't have that'll probably not mar it. You'll look in like jewelry making sections of things, and you might even want to get something. You don't need to go and buy something like this, but having something where you can kind of bend it around a form. You could go find something in your shop or around the house to kind of bend it around something, but you need something kind of stiff. It just helps you achieve all the little shapes and things that you might want to do. So I honestly don't think it's that big of a deal. I think you could just probably put a bend on the bottom. You don't have to make it all squiggly and all that stuff. I don't know that does anything. I just wanted to kind of show you how I do it. Basically, I've been doing it that way since I started doing the vertical pours. And at this point, it works. I don't want to change the system. So this is what I kind of came up with. But anyway, so copper wire, easily available. You can probably get it at like your local craft store and all that kind of stuff too. Now, one other thing that I wanted to mention before we get into, I'll give you an update on the knee too. I wanted to mention, if anybody's looking for a face shield for turning or for other things, this is a pretty cool solution. I'm not sure if you guys know him, but Bradley McAllister uses this. He does a bunch of turning demos. He's been doing that for like ever. He's a very good turner. He's got a YouTube channel also. I need to go find that. Shoot. YouTube. He covers resin stuff, but he also just covers but he also covers just turning things. And I highly recommend, if you're into, if you like just watching stuff. He does a bunch of live streams. He just went in the hospital. He had to undergo I don't know, some sort of a heart kind of thing. So I think he's doing good though. But he does these things, and he really knows what he's talking about, and he does a lot of really cool resin stuff. But usually we're not talking pens. Like, he's doing like bowls and bigger things. But if you like seeing good turning stuff, definitely go check out his channel and follow his check out his live streams. But he also has a store. So his channel is called Spiracraft, and that's his store name too. So he's got a bunch of turning supplies, and he sells these guys on his website. But it's really cool because it's basically goggles, which are sealed, but then you also have a face mask, and it's not as obtrusive as some of the bigger face masks, but it's really nice. And you can lift the thing up if you want to talk to somebody, or whatever, and then flip it down. Not a bad idea. I just wanted to share this. The reason that I typically, for pens, I don't really wear face masks usually, unless it's a blank that I'm like, I think this might blow up. For me, I think for the types of things that I turn, like, this is plenty, and it's super easy to get on and off. Covers your the eye protection is covered, as well as the face mask part. But you also have one, and let me tell you why I bought this. So when I cut the square pen blanks, it creates just a freaking dust storm in my shop. And even, I have, eye protection that even has the little kind of like gaskety thing on the inside of the glasses. And I've still gotten stray particles, like little tiny shards of plastic that get under that and get in my eye. And I'm just sick of it. And so you know, I was like, oh, I remember Bradley used to wear this thing. This will keep shards out of my eyeballs because I'm wearing goggles basically, but I also get a little bit of a face mask. You know, so I just thought it'd be something cool to pick up. They're cheap. They're like 20 bucks, I think. So, I mean, they're the same price as like your, yeah, 25 bucks. So not particularly expensive. But I wanted to share that because I just picked one up and I've used it a couple times and I love it. It works really good. So can you wear earmuffs? I'm sure you could. I mean, just, you know, there's nothing preventing you from wearing earmuffs. You could also just, you know, wear like earplugs, but you could wear earmuffs as well. So just wanted to kind of share that. It's something new that I picked up. A lot of people, you know, not that many people use these things. I mean, honestly, Bradley's the only person that I know who uses that type of mask with turning. But, you know, it's a good deal. So I don't know how, you know, I don't have a clue how it works with glasses and all that kind of stuff, but I just wanted to share that. Let's see here. So who is here first? Mike's here first. He's got a guild today. That's cool. We got Clyde and Brian and Mark, Paul and Bruce, Rob. There's lots of people here already. Kevin, Vinny, Carolyn's here. Kid Cooper's in the house. What's up, man? Let's see here. David Bingham. And, oh, Carolyn's new. Well, welcome. Hopefully you won't... they're pretty long and all that stuff, but I like to cover in-depth stuff. So if you like that, then hopefully you'll enjoy the streams. Yeah, David, I was a little bit early today. I didn't really do a whole lot at the beginning, but you can always go back. Myra's here. Nice. And Michael DeQuattro. Lots of people. Geez. Well, welcome, everybody. So one thing before we get started jumping on the lathe, knee update. So on Tuesday next week, I'm going to have surgery. So I just wanted to, and it's not a big deal, I don't think. It should, the more I thought about it, the doctor didn't even really tell me anything, but the thing with meniscus surgeries is they don't really know what they're going to do until they go in there a lot of times. The MRI, okay, I've got a meniscus tear, but that doesn't really tell them what's really kind of going on. So once they go in with the scope, they can see what they need to do, and I think they're just going to be kind of trimming some stuff that's getting caught in the joint. And if it's that, and that's it, that's all they find, that should be a very simple surgery. From what I've heard, you know, like a week or two and you're kind of back on your feet. I don't know. The doctor was a little bit, that's not exactly what he said. The thing is, if they need to repair the meniscus, this could turn into months. So I don't even think they're going to attempt to repair it at my age. I've got lots of knee problems. It just, they have a really high failure rate if they try to repair it. However, if it needs to be repaired, they might try to do that. So I just wanted to let everybody know. As far as the store goes, next week, orders are probably not even going to go out because I need to stay off my knee for at least a week. That's kind of what the doctor said. I'm going to know more after they're done with the surgery. So that's the problem, is I don't really exactly know what they're going to even do. So the recovery time, it's kind of elastic a little bit, but I think 90% chance that it's just going to be a quick cleanup. I'll be in and out, and I should be back on my feet pretty quick. I'll have to do PT and you know, kind of do some stuff, but I should be able to start shipping stuff. I think probably after about a week, 5 days to 7 days, I should be able to get to the shop, be able to sit down, do the shipping, get those things out, and it shouldn't be a big deal. As far as making blanks, that may take a little bit longer. So if I run out of stuff, I don't know that I'm going to be able to really replenish stock very easily, because I got to stand to make the blanks and I got to stand to cut them. So that's going to maybe be a little bit further down the road. But again, I'm anticipating it's going to be pretty simple and hopefully pretty easy, and it should be not too big of a deal for, like, you know, blank sales and stuff like that. So anyway, just wanted to update you on that. I'm actually really looking forward to this because I'm sick and tired of this knee. It's just, I've never had this kind of amount of problems, especially for months. And I'm looking forward to them cutting out whatever's getting in the way with my knee joint. let's see, Rob was asking if I'm going to go to SWAT. So I had to cancel Portland. I was going to be going to the AAW. That was going to be my event this year. But I had to cancel it because I was like, I'm not walking around a convention with this knee. I mean, I don't even like going to Costco, honestly. I canceled that one, and what I'm planning to do, we'll have to just see how everything goes, but I am planning to go to SWAT instead. So hopefully if everything goes well with the knee surgery and everything's good to go, then SWAT should be on the list. So yes. I know I've seen a lot of people, Michael was saying about the surgery. It should be simple. As long as all they're doing is trimming off some of the excess, that's really a very simple surgery. I mean, honestly, people like walk out of surgery on those ones because it's arthroscopic. The thing is, he didn't really, like I said, the more I'm thinking about it, we didn't really ask a whole lot of questions, and I just kind of assumed it's one thing, I guess, and I didn't really ask questions about it. So we have a pre-surgery thing on Monday. I'll know what's a little bit more about what's going on, but as long as nothing is like really messed up that they have to like try to repair or something, which I'm not like falling down stairs and stuff. It's just, it catches a lot. So it should be a simple surgery, I think. So it came the next day, yeah. So anyway, guys, that's the update. So first blank we're going to turn is going to be the one where I was kind of pouring it and like kind of moving the cup around in the, doing a little bit of this kind of thing rather than just kind of holding it static. And then, on the second one, that was, I held it kind of static. It just kind of dumped in there. Then I did a swirl. So those are the two that we're going to turn, and then I'll show you the results of the red, white, and blue one as well. That was the one where I just held it static. There was no stir stick involved. All right, so let's head over to the lathe, get this thing fire. That's not the right camera. This camera view. Get this thing going, huh? I think the worst thing, they told me that I had to stop taking Advil for like 7 days. And so I'm like, this knee doesn't hurt that much, but man, I'll tell you what, when I stop taking Advil, it hurts a lot more right now. But I'll be really happy when when surgery's over and everything's back to normal, hopefully. I'm just really bummed. Like, I haven't been able to hike, or I've been able to ride my bike a little bit, but I just want to get back into being able to do things, Knee problems are not fun. All right, so we got our dust collector on here, maybe a little bit louder than normal, but come on, open up. There we go. Got the chat open. I can kind of keep an eye on that. Okay, so again, this is just a Sierra size blank. This is the purple, red, and silver. So again, we kind of just dumped it, but just moved the cup around. Let's see what the results are here. All right, let's do a little teaser real quick here. See, so far, try and get the camera in here a little bit closer. See what we got. Focus on the blank. So it's very feathery. It's more of a feathery kind of look. First impression so far, I mean, compared to the dirty pour blanks, I kind of like this a little bit better, It even within the same color, it's like, I don't know, it almost looks feathery in there. So not bad. I'm definitely, I don't have any problems with this. So far. We're getting close here. I think I got the edges pretty close to the bushings there. Feels okay. All right. Let's see what we got here. Adjust the camera a little bit. Yeah, definitely feathery. So, you know, I mean, this is kind of what you might expect, right? You got the kind of striations. What I like is it's not just like super fine, like we had on the dirty pour blanks. Like you get a little bit of variation going on. There are some clumping areas, you know, but overall not bad. I mean, definitely an interesting look. What do you guys think about that pattern? And then, you know, like this is like half of a pen blank. So if I were to be, you know, let me get my words here. If I was going to be trying to sell these, like try and perfect the method, I would have to turn, you know, a handful at least of these blanks just to kind of see within a batch, is there many variations? I would do a couple batches, do a couple tests within each batch, just to make sure that, you know, you're getting kind of consistent results. You know, one of the things about resin casting or, you know, making blanks is the nice thing is you don't want them to be all exactly the same, but, you know, you want to have a little bit of consistency. Otherwise, you know, if you're trying to sell the blanks or something like that, or somebody's looking for a pen, you know, if you have a picture of a blank, but you can't possibly get it even remotely the same, that's kind of a problem, right? We don't want that, but we do want some variation, but a little bit of consistency. I'm gonna go grab some gloves. I like wearing gloves when I'm doing wet sanding. Otherwise my hands get kind of dried out. And we don't want that, do we? Let's see, I'm gonna look at let's see here. Check Jennifer's here. I'm doing pretty good, Jennifer. How about you? Yeah, those ribbons. I love the ribbons that come off. Let's see here. Kim's got some stuff. Well, thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. Okay, so I didn't miss any chats. That was pretty quick. That's why I like doing the Sierras for tests, because you can kind of knock them out very quickly. So we're gonna wet sand. I'm gonna use again, at this point I'm pretty much sold on using silicon carbide and wet sanding. It goes faster, it works better than Abranet ever had. Again, you know, I used to start at 400 grit with Abranet, and I would do that dry. Then I would move over to the Zona papers. But I found that the surface got, you know, I think that step from 400 to the green Zona is probably a little bit too much. And that's one of the reasons why I started using 600 grit. I didn't like Abranet 600 grit. So I thought, let me pull out some silicon carbide, start using some water. And what I found was I didn't have to go to 400. I could just start at 600 with this one. I don't know why exactly. It's a slightly different abrasive particle, silicon carbide versus aluminum oxide. But I think the big difference is the Abranet is a mesh, and so there's only so many grit particles because it's like a screen, right? So like there's not even like a full piece of paper, which is nice. It's great. I loved it for sanding most things because it didn't clog up. But I think that the silicon carbide, because there's a lot more surface area and particles, I think it just works better. And then, you know, wet sanding's always better on plastics anyway. So this method has been going pretty good. And frankly, 600, then I go to 1000 grit with silicon carbide. And you could maybe at that point switch over to, some people like to just go with like, your micro mesh or your Zona papers, and you could just sand it out from there. I don't know that you'd need to go to 1,000 grit with silicon carbide. You could maybe just do the 600 silicon carbide and then move over to the Zona. And I think you could just polish it out with those. What I'm digging is 600, then 1,000, and then magic juice. That's working pretty well. Of course, there's a million different ways. You could do buffing after the 1,000. That works excellent. One thing I wanted to, I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I've kind of played around a little bit with Turner's Warehouse has a product, and unfortunately, I don't even know if the thing, yeah, it does say, okay. Turner's Warehouse has a product, it's a polish, and they call it Ring Bling. Ring Bling. And so one of the nice things about this is kind of a nice finish, like a final step polish. So and where I think it's great for rings, you can go through the Zona papers and then hit it with that at the end. But I think where it really shines is, for pen turners, is if you do buffing. If you do, like what I would do is I would go with the triple E wheel, then the white diamond. But I didn't really find the white diamond, it just wasn't like a finish. Like it wasn't like a final step. It just felt like it always needed just something extra. And so that's a really good, if you're a buffing person and you're kind of like, yeah, the white diamond, I feel like it could do a little bit more. Put it back on the lathe, hit it with that Ring Bling, and it's like, that's the final step. It'll be nice and shiny, glossy. So it's just something kind of nice. It also, I think, takes away some static. It reduces like static, which can sometimes occur when you're polishing plastics. So just wanted to kind of mention that. I've done a couple tests and it works pretty good. Of course, there's a million other ways you can do things, but it's just one more tool for your arsenal. So we're doing the 1,000 grit now. And when you're sanding, the best thing is you don't want to be putting a lot of pressure on. That's not going to help you do anything. Let the sandpaper do the job. Don't let it clog up. Continually, refresh, dunk the pad in water. Another way you can go is put water in a squirt bottle, get a big bucket, underneath. That's what Chad does. That way you can kind of almost continually squirt and sand at the same time. You're never going to, load it up with material. I've just always done it this way, so I haven't really tried that other method, but it's a good way to go to really keep it nice and keep that water clean and keep it lubricated. Okay, that should probably be good. Let's do a little bit of lengthwise. And then we'll wipe it off. We'll pull out our magic juice using that awesome caddy from Mark. Still love that thing. It's the greatest. Okay, so we'll get my water out of the way. And one thing I also like to do is I like to grab air. There's almost undoubtedly going to be some water between the bushing and the pen blank. So I like to kind of blow that out before I get to the polish step. Okay, got our magic juice. And actually I got a couple other little thoughts that I could share that have to do with polishing. So I still like using the blue shop towels for applying the finishes or these polishes. But I still have reservations about when you get to like the couple final steps. It just seems like I wonder, and I don't know the answer to this, but I wonder if this is more abrasive, the paper towel, the applicator, than the polish itself. And if that's the case, that's not really doing you a whole lot of good. So the issue though is it's not a good idea to use rags and things that can get caught up on your lathe. So one thing that I found, there's these little makeup applicator pad things. Here's an idea, and I highly recommend you want to cut this, whatever this thing is, off. But this could work. They're pretty cheap. I think I got a 6-pack of these things for like $2, I think, on Amazon. So something, and it's just a soft puff. It's not really fabric, but it'd be kind of hard for this to get like wrapped up, I think. I don't know. I just don't really think it's still not gonna, you know, this material is not going to rip. So you'd have to kind of watch out if it did, but I can't imagine this thing actually getting like fully wrapped around the blank, you know, for pen blanks. Now, another option that I found that I wanted to share, and this one's a little bit more on the controversial side, possibly. A lot of people use, you know, microfibers. These ones are interesting because they actually have a membrane in between, so it doesn't, so the polish or whatever you're using won't actually go through. So you can use both sides with different polish and it's not going to kind of contaminate the other side. That's great. I still don't recommend doing this. This thing can totally get wrapped up, and if it grabs your finger, and that's, you know, bad news, right? You don't want to be doing stuff like that. However, if you cut it down into these tiny little strips, I mean, you'd have to use your own, you know, do it at your own risk, but I just don't really think this is going to be as dangerous as like using like a rag, a full-on towel or something like that. But just be aware, this is not going to rip if it does get caught. But I think you can kind of keep a hand on it, and I'm going to do this today. But I'll probably use the step 5 and then the step 6 on one side and the other. And I don't know. I don't know if this is really necessary. That's the thing. This may be like way overkill. Your blue, I've never really seen any issues using the blue towels with polishes. It may be the case that once you put the liquid on this thing, then there is no abrasiveness to the towel. It's not really hitting the towel. I don't know. Overanalyzing, I know, but just wanted to kind of let you know. So step number 1, get this rolling here. My speed, I don't know. I think the directions say to speed the lathe up to like 2,000. I don't really see the point of that. I don't know. I need to talk to Michael Harding about this and really understand if that's something that the way this polish works, you want that speed. But for me, all it's doing is generating more heat, and I just don't think that that's necessary, you know? I think you can just polish without going fast. So I got my lathe going about 1,300. I also find that the particles kind of just break down really quick, and it seems like I don't know. I like slower. If anybody knows that, has like actually talked to or like heard Michael Harding say, you know, what he recommends and why, I would love to hear it. Step 1 done. On to step 2. This is the one that always catches. It tends to really be sticky. You got to watch yourself if you're using anything that won't rip. Okay. To rub it in all over the blank there. Let's see. Oh, David got the new lathe. Shipped. Nice. Yeah, you know, it's funny. Most of the machines that I've bought, it doesn't take that long to get. They're usually pretty quick about it. You kind of maybe expect like, oh, it's, you know, a big item and it's not going to get here that quick, but I don't know. I've always been like, oh, wow, it's here already. Okay, step 3, done. On to step 4. Gun cleaning patches, that'd be a good idea. Step 4. Carolyn loves it. Nice. I am too. I was a little bit disappointed with the dirty pour ones. Honestly, you know, they looked fine. It's just like for what I was really hoping for, they didn't hit the mark for me. So that was one where I'm like, I don't think I'll be employing this for any of my pen blanks. I think it really is dependent on what colors you use also. So we're going to try this guy out. I'm going to apply it with the lathe off, get it nice and spread out. And like I said, you know, you want to keep your fingers out of there, try and get a good hold on the back of this thing, and then just a little bit of pressure. The other nice thing, the other reason why I'm a little bit less concerned with using something like this that's not, you know, that won't rip if it gets caught up. I still think it's so small at this point that, like, I mean, I don't know how it would be kind of wild to get hurt with this, I think. Again, you got to use your own judgment in your own shop. But the thing about it is, if you're only using it for step 5 and 6, those two don't tend to be sticky at all. Some of these polishes can get a little sticky, and they tend to want to grab that paper towel. But I don't find 5, definitely not 6. 6 is it's like watery. Not sticky at all. And then I like to kind of flip it around, use a fresh corner just to kind of wipe it off, and then I'm going to flip it over. Again, there's like a membrane separating the two sides of the microfiber, so none of this step 5 is on this side now. And then we'll pull out our step 6. A little bit of that on there. Now you are sticking your fingers in the step 5 and all, but that shouldn't be a big deal though. And we'll use step 6 and hopefully it'll be glistening. Nice thing about microfibers is they really aren't abrasive at all. They really shouldn't scratch anything. So that's why that one's a pretty good one. You know, I don't necessarily know about these makeup puff things. I mean, they feel super smooth. I don't really think there's any abrasiveness to it, but a little bit more awkward, I think. The triangles. All right, so let's see what this thing looks like here. See what we got. There's usually a little bit of polish on the inside, so I like to wipe that off. Get a little bit of gunk. Kind of wipe that off, that way it doesn't show up, squeeze out or anything. Here we go. Let me get the camera. I can't barely see. Let me get the camera like on this side. I think it's a better angle for the light too. Very glossy. I do like the, you know, I think I like the color patterning on this. Again, for not having to stir it, not having to do anything, you just dump some colors in a split cup and pour it. And this one was the one where we kind of moved the cup around a little bit. So you do see a little bit of, you know, variation. There's quite a bit of red right here in this area. Some blobs of purple. But overall, like, I don't know, pretty happy with that. I think it's cool. I would have no problems using the split cup and getting this result. Now, you know, again, I would want to do a little bit more testing to make sure that, you know, that blank, you know, what we got, you know, that's half of a pen blank right there out of 7. I would want to do a couple more tests and see, how does some of these other blanks look? Are they, is the patterning and all that kind of stuff pretty similar? Where did I put the other blank? There it is. Before especially, I sell blanks, so I like to definitely make sure. I'm not a big fan of get something to the market and then constantly adjust it. I just want it to be as, as marketed. Here's the picture. This is what you should expect. Pretty close, Now on this one, we actually did use our stir stick again. So for anybody that didn't hear the opening spiel, when we poured these, we used the split cup. We dumped it in. I didn't move the cup around. When I was pouring, I just dumped it straight. It was just flowing out of the cup straight down into the mold. However, I did use a little stir stick thing to stir each one of the blanks. So this one should be, my estimation. Now, the one thing that I'm going to say about this one, the 14 karat nugget, that stuff doesn't behave exactly the same as normal micas. So it's not entirely total apples to apples comparing that first blank to the second one, because it has the 14 karat nugget, the gold in this is more like a glitter than like a mica. So just keep that in mind. That may make things a little bit different, but the two mica colors, what I'm guessing is this is going to look extremely similar to any normal pen blank that I pour. That's my kind of guess. I think this one's going to be swirly. And I don't know that you might have a little bit more of like a vertical, like the feathering in it, but I think it's going to be kind of swirly and mixed up and more similar than not to one of my normal pen blanks. A normal way that I pour them. All right, so let's see here. Has a spacey feel. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. Kind of like I think there's like a show or something like that, or a movie where those three colors are, the silver definitely, man. And I'll tell you what, the Jungin silver, that stuff is on point. This is the best silver I've ever seen in a mica, hands down. This beats. I always talked up that Alumilite, the one that they got rid of, the metallic silver, and that one worked pretty well, but it also was a pain because it was so fine, or I don't know what the deal was with it. It was a different type of mica, and it was kind of a pain to actually pour. It would float to the top, and it was all kind of weird. This stuff is just like any normal mica powder, but you get that nice silver. So anyway, Jungin silver, eye candy. We got some good ones. Okay, so let's fire it up again. Let's see what we got on the second round. And then, like I said, I did the third round, was the red, white, and blue blanks. And that one, I didn't use a stir stick at all and just dumped it straight down, didn't move the cup around, kind of tried to keep it very static where, the idea was I'm hoping that you would kind of have columns somewhat of color. So we'll just have to see what that looks like. Paul's here. What's up, man? Number 6 is just milk. It might be. It's more of like a washing agent, I feel like. It's not really polishing anything, I don't think. It's like a surface treatment. Like I said, I really think that part of the deal with it is to actually get rid of the static and also eliminate fingerprinting. I think that's actually what number 6 is a little bit more about. It adds a little bit of gloss to the top, but it's more like it's a treatment type thing rather than like a polish, like a true polish. All right, gotta find my tool here. Here we go. I'm just gonna keep my gloves on so I don't have to get new ones. Really like the colors in this one. I like the colors in all of them, but this was an interesting one with the gold. I always liked like the blue and green, that always looks good, but the gold, the 14 karat nugget really, I don't know, does something to this blank. adds a lot of interest to it. Like more than like a white or anything. All right, I'll take one more pass. We'll do a quickie. Quickie close up, see what we're looking like. Ooh. Yeah, that's pretty nice right there. A little, you still have, like the colors are a bit separated on the blank, but the stir stick really did mix them around a little bit more here and there. This is pretty wicked, I think. I like that a lot. What do you guys think of that? And I'm happy the 14 karat, sometimes the little particles can you can kind of see, they end up kind of all over the place. But they really kind of stayed together here a little bit more. This is a pretty good, I really like this. Still have some little trails of the gold in there. But you also have some pretty prominent, larger areas that I like a lot. I would definitely say it's different. Like if I poured this my normal method, it would be different looking than this, I think. Because I'm kind of almost more stacking the colors. The normal way that I pour, I just pour around, into each hole, put the cup down, grab a new cup, and then pour it again. And so it's a little bit more of a stack. It bleeds, it kind of mixes all together, but it's still more of like a stacking thing, where this is more like the colors are coming all in at once, and then I'm stirring it up. So it's very minute, slightly different, but pretty cool looking. I like that. Not too bad. All right, let's finish this guy up, huh? Get this thing shaped, polished. Now, one thing, if you are wearing nitrile gloves on the lathe, if for some reason, if something kind of got caught, it's gonna rip. So I really don't think there's like real danger wearing, you don't want to wear normal gloves on the lathe, but I don't think there's a problem with these. But they they're a little bit stickier. So like where I think you could get like an injury is it's almost like you're jamming your finger. Like if you touch this, it can kind of grab, it's a little stickier sometimes, and it can kind of like jam your finger. That's happened to me, a little bit. So just be careful if you're going to do this. Don't be touching, the spinning material too much. But I don't think there's going to be any catastrophic injuries that happen, wearing these. Whereas if you were wearing like normal gloves, if they got caught up on the thing, I mean, it can really seriously injure you. So always keep, shirt sleeves, long hair, gloves, any other kind of fabric away from the lathe. Even like loose shirts. Sometimes, you're bending over the lathe. I mean, if your shirt got caught, it's not going to be too pretty. Always stay safe. One thing I like about lathes is they're just really, compared to a lot of the other power tools in the shop, they're pretty safe. I mean, there's not a lot of things that can really go wrong but the, you know, stuff getting wrapped up on the lathe, you know, getting caught in the spinning material, that is like the big one. And that's so easy to stay away from, right? That's not something that you're like, well, I hope this goes all right, but I got to do it. No, just, you know, tuck your hair out. Don't wear gloves. You probably just saw me touch it like that. What I've found is there's dust on my fingers right now, and so it is pretty, you know, a light touch, not a big deal. I was willing to take that risk. But in general, better to stay away from the spinning thing. We got a little bit of material on this end. Okay, I think that's good. Whew. Yeah. That's a pretty good looking blank right there. Pretty good amount of mixing together, like swirls or whatever patterning. And again, if you don't like the if you don't like that vertical kind of feathering look, if that's not what you're going for, I think you could do this split cup thing and then just use a stir stick at the end. And I think it would kind of reduce the amount of feathering that you're, you know, like that kind of vertical patterning. It would just mix it up enough to make it not so much of like a vertical pattern, or, you know, like lengthwise. But it's a pretty simple way to pour. Like, I think one of the big things is, I'm thinking like if you wanted to do, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but I think if you wanted to do a couple of Gatling molds at once, like, you know, pour more blanks at once, I think that this method could be a way to accomplish that a little bit easier. The problem is if you're doing the normal pouring, right? And I'm gonna go over to the normal, or to the other camera real quick to kind of illustrate this. Where you run into problems, and the reason I typically do 7, you know, one of these is pretty much all that I do. I don't do multiples of these typically. And the thing is, the way that you know, let's say I had a 3-color blank, right? And normally I've got my 3 colors, you know, 3 different colors in a cup. And what I do, there are people, you can pick up 2 cups and try and hit the hole or just create a gigantic mess. I can't stand that. I'm not good with my left hand. I just don't have a lot of experience. I never have done left-handed pouring. And it's hard for me to get the right angles, so I'm always messing things up. So I don't do it that way. The way I do it is I just pick up a cup, pour some into each one of these, and I'm constantly picking a cup up, putting it down, picking another one up. And that, having to do that many rounds of pouring, really it's going to start getting kind of difficult to get a lot of molds poured at once. But if all you do is you mix up 3 different colors, grab a cup, or however many colors you want, grab a cup like this and then just dump it in there. Now, if you're doing like 3 or 4 molds, you'd have to have a pretty big split cup, but you can pour a bunch of resin in there, and all you're doing is just filling up one at a time. I mean, it'll go, I think you could easily knock out 2 of these without even breaking a sweat, So that's kind of what I'm thinking is this could be useful for that. And you still kind of get the standard look if you use the stir stick. It seems like that anyway. So I don't know. With gloves, you have an anchor point. Yes. Hold by the anchor point. Yeah. Yeah. That's a better way to do testing. Mark was saying, like, test each different way with the exact same colors. That's true. Yeah, it's kind of boring though. You're like, oh, here's the same one again. Did it, and I don't know. I kind of feel like you can get a pretty good idea of what the other ones are going to look like probably if you just do, you can do different colors a lot of times, but it's pretty close. But you're right. If you really want like the best test, you would do it the same colors exactly. Yeah, I've been reusing it. So I poured, where's the other one? So, I did on last week's live stream, I did 2 pours, right? And then, but we have the red, white, and blue one. So, and I just waited for the resin to, there was still some in the bottom of the cup. And I just let it set up and just, whatever, it's not getting into anything. So then I just did the red, white, and blue on top of it. Now the problem is, this cup keeps getting heavier. It's filling up with resin basically. So there's a finite life to this cup. But again, for me, like I can just 3D print one. I mean, it's maybe, I don't know, 30 cents or something like that to print one of these things for me. Not that big of a deal. And if you want to do a reusable one, they have silicone ones. Now I find it not super awesome to cleaning out those silicone cups because I haven't done a split cup type of silicone one. I have tried using a silicone mixing cup, and it sounds great, and you're like, oh, the resin will just peel out, and it just doesn't peel out as easily as, at least for me, as using just a normal plastic paint mixing cup. Most of it just all pops off really easily, and it's easier to clean and reuse a plastic cup for like a big mixing cup for me. What was I going to say? Like you can just blow this out, or you could even, another thing that I do is I have just a little plastic kind of scraper thing, and you can, because there's usually like little remnants of like thin resin that I don't really want to get into the next batch. And so I'll just kind of scrape this, and it's much harder to like scrape out if there's little particles in the silicone cups. So I didn't love it. Like frankly, the way that I would have to do it with silicone cups is to like put, denatured alcohol, like rinse them, like clean them out while the resin's still wet. And it's kind of a pain for me. So frankly, I like this better personally. Eventually I'll just, chuck it and whatever, but it is a little bit more expensive to do it this way, I think. So let's see here. Thanks for the safety talk. Well, it's always good. Sometimes, you never know. Most people are like, I know, there's a safety police. But there may be somebody that's brand new to turning that watches this someday. I mean, that's the other thing, is it's not just the people that are in the chat, which, I think most of you guys probably know, and I'm kind of preaching to the choir, but a lot of times I say beginner things or, things like repeat myself, because there's a lot of people that watch the replays, or maybe they're watching right now because there's, 37 viewers, but there's not probably 37 chatters that have chatted right now. So there's people that are just watching or listening, and they may be a brand new to turning person. And so it's always good to kind of mention things like that just so that they know. Because the biggest thing when I start something new, I want to know what not to do. Like, don't tell me how to do it. I'll figure out, however I like to do things, or, learn as I go kind of thing. But the main things are, you need to know exactly what not to do, because those are the things that are catastrophic, right? So I try to do that. Let's see. Michael's asking, would I apply the ring bling after the magic juice? No, the ring bling is for, what I meant with that is if you're somebody that doesn't use magic juice, because I don't think it's doing anything different than magic juice. And frankly, you could probably use the higher levels of magic juice if you already have that and get the same result. What I was saying is if you're a buffer, if you do buffing only and you don't use magic juice polish or anything like that, and what I found is that's what I used to do, is just triple E and then white diamond, and I was just like felt like the white diamond just wasn't that final step. Like there's something else needs to be done, and so I would actually use a super high gloss car polish. It's a little bit more messy than the magic juice, or not magic juice, than the ring bling or magic juice, and it's more expensive, I think. So I was just kind of looking for something else, and I knew that Turner's Warehouse had that ring bling stuff, and so I'd never used it. Last time I was there, though, I brought some home, and I've been doing a couple tests, and it's just a great finisher. Now, I think, like I said, if you got magic juice, you could probably just use the number 6, and it's probably pretty much the same exact thing. But either way, if you don't have magic juice on hand and don't really feel like, oh, I need to buy magic juice, the ring bling's a good option. Same thing goes for if you're someone that just uses the Zona papers or micro mesh, and you just want something that, like I said, I think these finishing things, they just take off some of the fingerprint, things that can cause fingerprints, adds a little bit of shine, takes away some of that static. So it's a good one, just a final step even after just doing that. But if you're doing magic juice, I would not recommend you don't need to go buy ring bling. That it's pretty much the same thing, I think. So where do you get split cups? There's a lot of silicone ones. You can look on Amazon. Temu's got it. And if you have a 3D printer or access to one, a lot of people don't realize your public libraries a lot of times have 3D printers that you can use for free if you have a library card, or maker spaces around you if you know someone or know of one near you. You can there's free files. I just went to where did I go? I can't remember the name of the thing. There's all kinds of like Thingiverse and all those where people just share 3D models. Now the big thing is, like, I couldn't sell this even this physical cup because it's a what is the common community? I can't think of it. There's some licensing where you can't use it for commercial use, but for personal use, you can just go grab the file and then have somebody print it out, or use your own 3D printer and print these guys. So either way. Now we need to go and finish up this blank. So I kind of stopped in the middle there. I want to get this thing polished up because we still haven't even seen like the full extent of this blank. I think this thing's going to look fabulous. I think it's going to look good. And then, like I said, I'll share with you guys. I did turn up one of the red, white, and blue ones as well. So we'll get a look at that too. Tell you what, I'm really digging the wet sanding because it's not loud. I don't have to turn the dust collector on. It's so nice. By the way, thank you to Stefan for super chatting. I appreciate it. Yeah, I try to, with safety talk, I try to do things, at least mention when I don't know, we all do things that some people are like, oh my God, that's so dangerous. And other people are like, didn't even. So there's probably a lot of things that I do that are, on somebody's safety no list. But if I know that I'm doing something that, is maybe a little bit like, you need to kind of choose whether you do this in your shop or not, I like to bring it up and point it out at least so that I'm not going to tell anybody what to do in their shop, but sometimes you may see somebody, and if nobody brings it up, the problem is, again, the newbies out there, you just bought a lathe, you just got it, thinking about getting into turning, and you're looking at videos, and you see somebody doing something and they don't even mention it, and you don't know that that's kind of like, that could be dangerous. It's good to point it out and say, look, This could be dangerous, so either do it or don't, but you know that there could be some risk involved with doing this. But it's hard to remember and think about all those things when you're in the middle of it, Creative Commons, there you go. I was like, CC. CC commercial. Yeah, Magic Juice rocks. It's a great product. I mean, it's a game changer because I used to buff everything. And I still, total transparency, I still buff, and I still buff all of my, when I'm doing custom pens, because I want them to be like perfect, like 0 scratches, and I just know how to do that with buffing wheels the best. Magic Juice is very reliant on making sure that you sand extremely well, whereas the Triple E buffing compound, that stuff will get out scratches. So it's just, I still use buffing sometimes, but for most pens, Magic Juice, and if I'm diligent, if you're good enough with sanding, sometimes I hurry things here and there, but as long as you're diligent with your sanding, the Magic Juice, I mean, it's fabulous. And it's way faster than buffing, way easier. I don't have to take it off the lathe. I luckily have a mini lathe that I use for buffing wheels. If you didn't have that, then you'd have to switch over your entire lathe, hook up buffing wheels, it's such a pain. And frankly, in the end, compared, again, Triple E and White Diamond wheel, Magic Juice gets the blanks way shinier. Maybe not way shinier, but I was just explaining this whole thing with like a kind of a finish step. It just feels like White Diamond doesn't really finish it off. And, the Magic Juice does give more shine, more gloss than White Diamond ever did. And it's quick. All right, so I did that pretty good. Got the 600 done. Go over to the 1000 grit here. And I don't wipe off in between the 600 and 1000. I like to kind of, wipe it a little bit, but there could be a little bit of particle contamination if you don't fully wipe things off. You can get super crazy into like the water bucket and have a separate water bucket for every grit. It seems like a bit of a hassle. There could be some benefits to that. I don't know. Most of the time, though, I get good enough results that I just don't see the point. Yeah, if you aren't comfortable with it, then don't do it, definitely. I mean, a lot of people, and I actually kind of stopped showing videos of me cutting pen blanks. The problem with pen blanks is, I see people using these like 3 foot long, maybe not 3 foot, but I'm over exaggerating, but like the push sticks that are super long, and those are great and all, but for me, a 3/4 inch piece of plastic is so hard to control with a little bird's mouth push stick thing. So like I find it way more comfortable personally to grab a push stick that I got my hand over it and it covers it. It's got sandpaper and it's locking that blank in place. Now I have a saw stop, so if things went really south, I kind of have an out. Now I don't know if I'd be super thrilled using the same method on a non-saw stop table saw, but I find it, I don't know, I just think that you have a lot more chance of getting kickback using those really long kind of junky push sticks. Jake's got a really good system if for cutting pen blanks. It takes way more time than mine. It would add a good amount of time for me cutting blanks for the amount of blanks that I do. But it's super safe and it's great. But a lot of people aren't using that. They're using those like kind of junky push sticks, and it just like you don't really have control over those pen blanks. And man, I'll tell you what, if you get kickback with a plastic pen blank, it's not going to feel good. Man, this blank looks fabulous. I mean, if I do, and I'm not saying that because I did a good job. This was a great color combination, guys. I'm giving you guys kudos for picking some really good colors. I love it. And it's even better, you know, once you kind of, it's not wet anymore, but I mean, look at this. That is a really good color combo. Green, blue, and gold. I don't even know that I would have been like, oh yeah, let me just try that out. And I do also think that the 14 karat nugget, compared to just like throwing some gold in there, because you get these little specks, you know, like I was saying, it's more like a glitter. It really is a glitter versus there may be some mica in there as well, but there's definitely glitter particles, and they end up kind of being all over they move around. You got little particles, and I just think that this color combination with that, whoo, I love it. Nice. Okay, so let's do some magic juice. Now, the one thing that I need to work on, guys, this is something that I'm going to have to deep dive after we get back. So I mentioned at the beginning of the show that surgery is on Tuesday. So I'm having knee surgery on Tuesday. And I was kind of mainly focused on like the website. So like pen blank sales and all that stuff. So orders are probably not going to be going out next week because I got to stay off it, according to the doctor. I don't know. Again, we'll have to kind of see. It just depends on what they actually have to do and how everything goes. But I'm anticipating I got to stay off it. I don't want to be standing up in the shop probably all of, you know, for like a week after surgery. And then, what am I doing? I got to get, like, what am I doing here? Magic juice. And then I should be able to get to the shop the second week. This is what I'm anticipating, unless things go kind of sideways with the surgery. Then I'll be able to ship orders the second week, hopefully. But I'm probably still not going to be making pen blanks and cutting them because that requires standing for longer periods of time. So I think replenishing stock is going to be a little bit held up, but I'm hoping within a week I should be able to start getting orders out. Now, live streams are also not going to be happening. So probably going to have to take a couple weeks off. I'm just guessing. I could maybe do something very quick or something like that on the second week. It just kind of depends on how the days fall and all that. But as of right now, I'm going to estimate probably going to have to take at least the next 2 weeks off from streaming. And then hopefully the third one I'll be back. Maybe it might have to be kind of shorter. Just depends on how the recovery goes, what they had to actually do, all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to mention that, guys. It's going to be kind of a bummer. First week is always the worst. If you have surgery, you're just sitting around doing nothing. It hurts. When I had to have my ACL replaced, that was horrible. That one was not fun. I did have like a little follow-up surgery after the ACL replacement, which I think is going to be like this one. I think that's what I'm kind of comparing this meniscus surgery to. And that was easy. That was no big deal whatsoever. They just went in and kind of cleaned up some scar tissue. So it should be very similar to what this surgery is going to be. And I did walk out of surgery. I don't know if I'll be able to do that on this one, but definitely the recovery period was not that long. The one problem for me though right now is I've been kind of limping around since February. So I'm kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit. It's going to require more significant physical therapy than if they would have just done this in February, if I could have gotten surgery in February. Because my leg is atrophied. My legs are a little bit weaker. So it's kind of, not a big deal, but it's going to take a little while to get back in the saddle. Let's see. David's looking at it's number 2. I'm telling you, I don't know about the number 2. Who does number 2 work for? You guys remember Austin Powers? I'm going to do another round with the number 2. Felt like it, I feel like it just kind of dries out really quick, and I don't know. Let's see, you're looking at my vacuum hood. Yeah, it's just on a stand. They sell these metal stands that are for like dust collector, like it's specifically meant for like dust collection. I'm going to tell you right now, these things are overpriced and they suck. So I really watch out on the stand. You can get this dust hood like anywhere, like Woodcraft, Rockler. I'm pretty sure that I probably got mine at like Rockler or something like that. So those are readily available. To be honest, I would probably just make a stand. I think that's honestly the easiest way. Just do a wooden thing. I'm sure Carl Jacobson, actually, I think he's got maybe a plan for a vacuum type stand. Another way, if you don't want to mess around with all that stuff, another way to go is there's a track system that Woodturner's Wonders sells that looks pretty cool. I don't know. I don't love... I need to get cameras in and things like... I'm not sure how that system works, and I haven't really felt like spending the money on it. But that could be a good option for a lot of people as well. I know a lot of people like it. I'm just not sure that... I don't know. I just wanted kind of a stand. The other thing is I kind of use that stand... I told you I have a mini lathe, and I'll show you a picture in a second here. Or picture. I'll show you a moving picture of it. Oh man, I'm getting old. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I use this stand and I just flip it around and put it on the buffing stuff, because you don't want to be breathing buffing rouge either, right? Always, wear a mask when you're buffing. But so my mini lathe is set up right there, and so I can just flip this stand, pull it over there. The problem is it's super heavy, which is kind of nice. Like, it's kind of rock solid, but at the same time, you see that 1/4-20 bolt sticking out of there? The like thing that held it at its height broke, and like, it's just, I don't know. It's kind of a piece of junk, and it was, I want to say it was like $70 or something like that. Like, it was, and I'm thinking, oh, it must be really good. Well, no, not really good. I don't think it's worth the money. I think there's other ways to do it with a stand. One of the problems I have is I don't really feel like spending the time. I don't really have the time or feel like spending the time to make a stand personally. So I thought, well, I'll just buy this thing. It's made for made for dust collection, supposedly. All right, so we're going to switch back to our pad, our microfiber here. Go with number 5. And I'm just reusing it. I don't know. Best way to go is to not have to reuse it or clean it out, I think. But practicality on it, I think you could probably get away with just kind of leaving it there. I think it'd be okay. And then we'll go to number 6 on the back side here. But again, this, and I'll tell you what this is. It's a product made by Autofiber. They're in like the car detailing industry. And what this is it's 2 pieces of microfiber with like a membrane in between, so that the polishes, the number 5 is not going into the gray side. It's just on the green side. Same with the number 6, because there's something like blocking the polish from going through. I don't know if that's all necessary or whatever, but I thought it'd be kind of cool. So they call it the Save. So this was made, it comes with a block. That's why they call it the Saver block. But it's like a coating applicator made by Autofiber. I got this again on Amazon, of course. Where I get pretty much everything. Turner's Warehouse and Amazon. Pretty much get it all there. All right, so we got it all done. Wasn't too expensive, I don't think, that stuff either. Get the camera over here. Again, I'm going to wipe off the ends of the blank. There's probably some magic juice on there. Yep, see, look at that. Not a lot, but clean that up. And here we go. Look at that. Man, I'm telling you guys. That is pretty nice looking. So again, this was the one where we just poured it straight in. We didn't move the mixing cup around, you know, like we just let the resin, you know, go straight down in. Then we used the stir stick, and man, I mean, that's pretty fabulous right there. I like that a lot. If this is, you know, I'm curious to see how the rest of the batch goes and like do some other batches. Because if that's the kind of results you can get every time, like, I don't know if I see the point in doing all the back and forth. Just pour it in the mixing, you know, pour it in the split cup, go for it. Now here's the red, white, and blue. And I didn't polish these guys, I just turned them down. This was the one where I just dumped it in. I didn't use, I wasn't moving the cup. I just poured it straight in, didn't move it, let it kind of just all go down straight, and didn't use a stir stick. And you can see there's you know, quite a bit of blocking, right? Where there's blue, red. The white's a little bit kind of interspersed. Let me go back. I'm guessing that was in the middle. Let's look at the cup. I still have the, yep. So let me show you the inside of the cup. It's still got the kind of residue or whatever leftovers. So the white was in the middle of this cup. And you can see, I mean, you did get, you know, a separation. There's a little bit of white in the middle, there's red and then blue pretty much throughout the blank for the most part, right? So again, one thing, and that was where, you know, I'm going to show you again. I want to make sure everybody understands this. If you want to do this kind of thing, you kind of know what I'm doing. You can go back and look at the stream from last week too. But on that first blank, you know, there is, I think you get a little bit of a difference if you're kind of moving the cup around as you pour it into the hole, right? Just moving it a little bit. You're going to get a little bit of variation. These ones, I literally just held it there and just let it flow straight down into the tube. And you get a, you know, I mean, it's obviously you're not going to get like 3 different separations, but you're getting that vertical kind of feathery look, and you're getting blocks of color. And I think this, you know, I don't think it's going to turn out exactly like this every single time, but I think it could be fairly repeatable, you know, fairly consistent results, I would imagine. So not bad. And I don't know, for this blank, this is a really good one. Yeah, let me switch back. So we still got a little bit of time, so I think let's polish these guys up. I just didn't want to waste everybody's time. I know sanding is like so fun to watch. Let's get these guys polished up real quick. And I did a cigar pen for these. I just couldn't do another Sierra. You can only handle so many Sierras in a day. No, I don't need that. So let's do a little bit of wet sanding and polish this guy up also. Kind of would like to get these things done before today, basically, because I'm not going to have much time. Once Tuesday rolls around, I'm going to be on the couch. Yeah, I will say that the vacuum hood is nice to have, definitely. There's a couple different variations that I've seen people make. Ones that more wrap around the blank. I think that gets a little bit obtrusive, especially if you're not only doing pen blanks. Things can get a little bit crazy if you got something covering it like that, but you're going to capture all the dust, so it's trade-off. It's just, 600. But this so far works as long as you have enough, air movement. As long as your dust collector is powerful enough. And I don't think it needs to be super ridiculously powerful or anything like that. It just, you need to have kind of a baseline. Some of the cheapest dust collectors are probably not going to work as well, but as long as you're getting pretty good, air suction, I think you can use this type of a hood, maybe even a smaller one. You could even make one thing you could do is 3D print one too. You're good at the 3D modeling and all that stuff and have a 3D printer. Make whatever size you want. I think if this was a little bit more, this is a pretty big hood. Oh, the camera's not even on the sanding part. It's a pretty big hood, so I think you could even narrow it down just at least just a little bit more. Have it a little bit of a smaller hole. And I think you might even get more, air movement that way. All right, I think that's good enough. Yeah, so overall, let me know what you guys think about the split cup method. Is this something that you guys might try out, or have you already tried it a little bit? I think this is worth looking into more. For me, I'm happy with these results. Quite a bit happy, actually. A lot more than I was with the dirty pour thing. I think dirty pour has its uses. I don't think that it's like a slightly different. So like I like doing like a quote unquote dirty pour where, I'll mix like transparent resin with mica. So let's say we wanted like red, blue, and like green blanks or something. Maybe instead of just doing 3 colors, maybe I'll make up 6 cups where I've got like a mica blue and then just a blue transparent resin, like you just add the dye to it and it's totally see-through. And that, if you pour those together, that gives you a good amount of depth to your blanks. I like the dirty pour quote unquote method that way, but it's not like all the colors are going in together. It's I'd still have like the red cup, the green cup. It's just that those would be mixed together. So I've always liked that method. I'm just not entirely sold on, the methods that we did before. I was like, these just really aren't impressive enough for me to really want to do this again. The split cup, this is great. I could see a lot of, just these red, white, and blue blanks, frankly. I'm seriously considering just making a few batches of these for 4th of July. And it's simple. And again, actually, I think I'm going to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try out doing like 2 or 3 batches at a time. See how that goes, The one thing I wish is that split cup thing was equal. The middle one is bigger. There's more volume or whatever in the middle section on that cup, and that's kind of a pain. I wish they were equal. I'm gonna scoot this thing over here. I don't get polish in the camera. So let's see what you guys have to say. Vinny downloaded one. Nice. Gonna give it a try. Nice. Mike's gonna do it too. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty happy with it, personally. I gotta go get my blue towels. It gives you a way that, unless you hold 2 or 3 cups at a time, I don't see any other way to get this kind of similar where it's like vertical blocks of color in the blank. I don't really know that there's like a good way to do that kind of thing. So I think it gives you a previously, with using the other methods that I typically use, if you were using those only, I don't know that you could do the same thing. So I think it gives you a new tool for the toolbox, but I'm really interested to see if you can just knock out like three molds at a time kind of thing. Now, the one thing is the more resin that you mix at a time, the quicker it's going to, heat up. So that's kind of a problem. But definitely two. I think you could easily get 2 of them done without even breaking a sweat whatsoever. I gotta speed this up a little bit more. So I'll give that a shot, and I'll have some 4th of July blanks on the site for people. Yeah, I should be able to do that. I got to think about, there's all these things I want to do, and then I'm like, oh, but I'm going to be I'm going to be on the bench for 2 weeks. We'll see. I think I can get that done before the 4th of July. Possibly. Mark's digging it. I think that you could do some interesting stuff with horizontal pours too, because you still, and I don't know exactly what the, let me think. Well, I'll tell you what, one thing that I think that this is going to be awesome at actually is the faux burls. So that's not horizontal like you were saying exactly, but it will give you like triple color faux burls kind of thing. This might actually be the best method for doing multiple colors that I've seen. It gets a little bit kind of out of control when you're pouring multiples. Like you really, if you're pouring into a mold like that, you really need to get the colors to the bottom at the same time. So I think that that's actually something that, and that's not really, I wasn't even thinking about that at first when I did this. I was thinking pen blanks. Excuse me. Now, horizontal molds, I do think that, you're going to get slightly different results than you would have if you were pouring the other way. The one thing about it though is it's much easier to do multiple cups in a horizontal mold because there's a huge hole, right? Like there's a big hole to hit. And if you use paper cups, much easier. I mean, you can pick up like 4 or 5 paper cups at a time, and you don't have to worry about hitting this 3/4 inch little tiny hole. So, I don't know. I think if you're pouring like single pen blanks horizontally, like in Jake's molds and stuff, I think there could be advantages there. It may kind of flow into three colors down the row. I don't know. It would require testing for sure to see what kind of results you get. But yeah, I do think that there would be some reasons to use that for horizontal pours too. Just slightly different results, I think. Do I sell colored honeycomb? For like the 3D printed colored honeycomb? Is that what you're asking about? So I'm going to wait for your answer, but I'll kind of explain something on as a side note. So I've been, I got into resin 3D printing, and I do think that that's superior generally to the FDM style, like the fused deposit modeling or whatever it's called, FDM, the where it melts the plastic, those, a filament style. It casts extremely well, and it turns extremely well and polishes. So it's really kind of one of those, like, it's the best way that I've seen. The problem is the materials are so limited compared to FDM printing. I mean, you can get every color under the sun in a spool, but with the resin, I mean, you're limited to very few colors. And then, you know, you can kind of play with your own colors, but then you start adding dyes and doing all this stuff, and it turns into kind of a nightmare because the print settings don't really work. It's just, and it's messy. You know, I've told you guys, I really don't like how messy resin 3D printing is. It's just not my favorite thing. So, you know, I just bought the Bamboo Lab, and even though I don't love the FDM style printing, I think for something like honeycomb, it works okay. It works fine for that type of stuff. Where resin printing really is, as far as I'm concerned, the only option, at least as far as I know. Maybe you could get print settings dialed into the point, or like a certain material on an FDM printer to make this work. But if you're printing larger kind of things, like, you know, we made the heart box, stars, where it's kind of a pretty big blob of that, you know, 3D printed material, that's where the resin printing is just bar none. I mean, it's the only way to do it, I think. Maybe you could use, there's a setting called ironing. Maybe that could help, but what ends up happening is you're laying down these like thin lines, and the resolution on an FDM printer is just not good enough to get it to be like if you like resin cast it, or if it's like a solid part, it just doesn't turn as well. The materials don't really turn that well anyway. The FDM, I think the PETG is probably the best way to go. And that looks pretty good. I mean, that's pretty much America right there. I like that. So let me see what your response was. So you were talking about that. Now, having said that, I think when you're dealing with something like honeycomb, things that have a thin wall, it really is not that problematic to turn if you're using FDM. So I've actually been pretty much thinking I'm going to start doing my honeycomb blanks with the FDM printer, because you can get any color. You can have so many different things. So I do think that that's probably going to be in the works, and I might sell the honeycombs. I'm not sure. But I did do I did a little experiment here. Actually, I already made some using some silver. Now the one on the, let's see here, I think this one was PLA, the red. And I got to be honest, guys, PLA is kind of terrible. It melts. Like, you got to really be careful when you're drilling it. I mean, it just melts when you're drilling, and and I'm pretty good about drilling and not trying to keep those temps down, but it just melts. The melting temperature of PLA is so low that it just really is not my favorite thing to turn. This is PETG, and it turned quite a bit better. The melting temperature is higher. So it's a pretty good way to go. But yeah, down the road, I might do that. It's already been on my mind. Like I said, I didn't buy the 3D printer to do that kind of stuff. But I've been so happy with how it works that I'm like, well, maybe I'll get into that. And I know Jake sells the stuff. That's another reason why I'm like, I'm a little hesitant, because he's kind of selling some of those. But, you know, might do it. I don't know. Gives you more options that just are a lot easier. Okay, so let's see. Do we get this thing set up right? Go back to our 600. That's too fast. Now, whether I'm going to sell the individual honeycomb pieces, I'm not certain yet. You still run into the same issue that I had with the resin 3D printed ones, where like the shipping is going to cost more than the thing, kind of, because you really want to put it in a box. And I don't want to have to go buy special boxes just to send it ground advantage. Like, I use small flat rate boxes because they're, you know, free for me. I don't have to pay for the actual box itself. I'm just a little hesitant to just toss it in like a bubble mailer and just kind of hope it doesn't get smushed, you know? I don't know. Maybe if the one way that I've thought about doing it is if it's if you buy like a box of it, you know, like you buy quite a few pieces of it, then it makes a little bit more sense with the shipping. But it does get a little expensive. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I guess you're probably, I don't know, maybe not like really interested in buying one piece. Like you'd maybe want to do 5 or 6, you know, fill up a mold and cast them. No, I don't really have like a commercial location for people to come to. Unfortunately, so I do everything shipped. My shop is a shared space, so we don't really have people come over, unfortunately. There's insurance issues, but there's also kind of privacy concerns with that, so don't do that, no. All right, I think that's probably good enough. Let's do the lengthwise sanding real quick. And then we'll move on to the magic juice step. Scratch. What's on there? No. I forgot to blow it off last time. Okay. Magic juice, here we come. All right, so we'll speed it up a little bit. Again, I'm going about 12 or 1300. That seems to work fine for me. Start with number 1. Wants to stalk Zach. No, it's just, I got a kind of a weird setup. I think something going on in the middle. I think I need to re-sand this maybe. I need to stop and look at this thing. It's kind of a weird center band going on. Might be like a tool mark. Beauty of losing your eyesight over time is all my pen blanks look fabulous regardless. Yeah, there's something. Yeah, this thing really needs more sanding. Let me look at the other one real quick. Did I do as good a job as I thought? No, that one looks fine. There's some issues going on. We got to go back to sandpaper on this one. Sorry guys. Just I don't know. Not good. Not awesome. That's all I'm going to say. In fact, I'm going back to 600 because there's a couple spots here that just are not looking so awesome. That's going too fast. I like to sand around 700, maybe 800. I think my sandpaper was worn out at the end that I was using, because this is totally different here. All right. Yeah, 600. I think I wore out the end of the sandpaper there. Okay, so tossing that in the trash, that's for sure. Now we're going to move on to 1000 grit again. I'm going to clean that off a little bit. Okay, I think that's good. A little bit of this, and then we'll go back to magic juice. Toss that 1000 grit, because I think that one's probably just as worn out. It's always good to, sandpaper is pretty cheap, especially if you cut it up into little bits. So, use it for a couple, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 pens or whatever. But, I mean, really, I almost probably only do about 3 pens, and then I toss it, just because I'm like, I don't know which side I was using, and how is the surface really. So going through sandpapers, I think that you're better off going through more of it and having fresh sandpaper. I think it's a better way to go. You're definitely going to get better results, kind of more consistent results, swapping that paper out more frequently and getting fresh. Okay, I'll speed it back up to around 12 or 1300. Try this again. Much better. I was seeing like a line right in the middle of the blank, and I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure I didn't sand this good enough, because it was basically a low spot. Okay, there we go. Step 2. What would people in the chat recommend for finish for an all wood pen? I like, let's see here. I've always liked, the ones that I've used are usually, I'll just do like oil, and then like a, you can use like the shine juice one. That one's a pretty good one, like basically a friction polish. Those always look pretty good, and they're pretty simple. I like to hit it with oil first, just to pull out, it depends on what it is, what kind of wood it is, but pull out some of the color, the richness, and then shellac works. You could use the OB shine juice, which I think is a shellac variant. What else? Just depends. CA is probably the easiest finish. If you're going for like a top coat, I don't know why you wouldn't use CA. That it's very durable, it's easy, and it's easy to apply. What else is there? I'm trying to think of what other finishes there are. You could always just go with like a Yorkshire grit kind of deal. I mean, that's where Yorkshire grit really shines for me. because it's got your waxes, your oils, all that kind of stuff. Another one that you can use is just feed and wax. It's like a wood polish and conditioner. This stuff, so if you're going for like close to the grain kind of deal, like some of those types of deals are great. Maybe a little bit, an oil wax kind of deal. You could just do a wax finish even. You could just, hit it with some like paste wax. That'll add a little bit more protection to it, but it'll be, just wood mostly. I don't know. I don't do a whole lot of wood anything. If it is wood, it's usually stabilized. Yeah, Mylan's friction. Pens Plus, there you go, yeah. Odie's oil is another one a lot of people like, I think. I've never used it personally, but a lot of people like that. Okay, and then we'll go back to our little, I think after this pen, I think I'm going to dump this thing. But, you can get through a few pens with it. I think if I had a few more to do today, I would continue using it, but I think letting this stuff just kind of sit in a drawer, I think you're better off just chucking it. I'm going to kind of spread it on, apply it that way. I got to be honest, I really don't know if there's really any reason to do all this with the... I've never really gotten bad results necessarily. Sometimes, every once in a while you get done and you're like, oh, there's still some scratches that I can kind of see. But I don't know, I don't think that it's the applicator. I think that I didn't do a very good job sanding, is usually what happens in those cases. So, I don't know. I wanted to share this, and I was just kind of curious about this product, but, this little microfiber deal. But I really think that if you just keep going with the blue towels, that's probably plenty. You're probably fine. I think that if I never got a glossy pen, then you'd have to start looking at an applicator, right? But I get super glossy pens, which means that if I nail the sanding part, I think the Magic Juice does its own job. But I do think that I'd stay away from a normal paper towel. I think that the blue one's much better. I think they work just a lot better. But I don't know if I really need to continue looking at these applicator type things. Sometimes you have to kind of work through it, in your own head. Okay, so let's see how this thing looks. Now, another thing that's nice to have in the shop is just having a microfiber towel. And they make even nicer ones, but this isn't super soft or anything like that, but it'll do. If you just want to wipe off, the blank, maybe you're not sure that you got all the polish off, it's good to have like a little microfiber that you can just use to wipe it off at the end. Microfibers are the greatest. All right, so let's take a peek at this now. It's looking pretty good, I think. I don't know. I didn't put my glasses on, so we'll just have to assume. All right, let's put some pens together. What do you say, guys? 3 pens in one day. This is like it's a record. Let me close all my Magic Juices up. I don't know. I would imagine that you really want to close all the Magic Juice bottles, not leave them open. I have accidentally left things open and they didn't like dry up, but I think you're much better off getting everything closed up. All right, so we'll get over here, get the pen press set up. The white ones add scratches. Yeah, they have to. I mean, I told you my reasoning. The reason I know that they're abrasive is, like, if I get sick or if I have allergies. Originally, all I had was the white paper towels in my shop, And if I blow my nose with white paper, you know, just like a Scott paper towel, like a few times, like my nose is just like, you know, the skin is just like irritated, like you're just peeling it off basically. So if I'm ever, you know, sneezing a lot or whatever, I use the blue shop towels, and it's night and day difference. So just on my own skin, I can see a difference, you know. I like to put a little towel down just to make sure I'm not sticking parts in resin or anything. Try and get this thing set up. Zoomed in a little bit. Okay, so let's get our pen blanks. Let's put the two-piece cigar together first. How about that? And then we'll do it. Man, yeah, these look pretty good. My favorite's the blue, gold, and green. Definitely. Oh yeah, I need kits. Kits help. So I've got a, let's see here. I want to see that I've got a, where are we at? That's the wrong drawer. Got a blue cigar. That might be kind of cool. Doesn't match the blue. That's not going to work. Let's go for do I have a silver? Not a lot of gunmetals. Copper. Oh, antique brass. I think that's going to look good. It'll be like a flagpole. Let's try that out. Okay, so, and I did mark these. Obviously on this blank though, I don't really need marks. I think I know where where these need to go, right? So for assembly, so don't have to really worry about that too much. I think the question's gonna be, yeah, I think we need to go this way. I'm just going to put it right down. We're going to have the red and the blue kind of side to side there. Okay, so we got that guy. Ooh, I think this is going to look good. This guy. Ooh, that is nice. I like the black. That was a good choice. I really like this plating. And then we got the nib side. That straightened a little bit. It's being a little bit of a pain here. Sometimes it just doesn't want to work so well. Might have to kind of sand this. I think I got it. There we go. Sometimes you just have to negotiate with it. I usually don't negotiate with terrorists, but just this once. Okay. Then we got that guy. And we're ready to rock here. Get my ink with the spring on there. Drop that guy in there. Twist this guy on. Ink works. And get this thing lined up. Yeah, this is pretty cool. It's almost kind of like a faded. There's almost like a fade to it. That's pretty cool. And you just push it together. What do you guys think of that? I mean, that's pretty darn cool looking. And again, I think you'd be hard pressed trying to do this without the split cup. Frankly, I don't really know how you do it otherwise. Having that kind of red, white, and blue. That is one of the, I gotta be honest, that's one of the best looking pens I've made. I think, I like it a lot. All right, so let's see what we got for these Sierras. I don't know. Go with, I think we'll just go with these Monarchs. Let's see, what do we got? Ooh. I think we're gonna go with this blue Monarch. Maybe a little overdone with the blue though. I don't know. I think it'll match good, but I don't know. Not sure how I feel about that. I think silver might be a better way to go. Yeah, that just seems like way too much blue going on. I think just a normal silver or gunmetal. Let it, because the problem that I have with it is it like overtakes the resin part, which is what I'm proud of personally in this. So I don't really want the components to like overshadow the blank itself. All right, so let's go find some. I think I need to restock on some just normal. Here's a major. That one's kind of cool. Here's just like a chrome and gunmetal Monarch. Okay. I'm just going to hold this up to either one of these, see if one of them looks better. Oh, that's pretty good. I think we'll do this one. With this is a chrome and gunmetal. Sometimes you got to bend the clip a little bit out, especially if you're like me and I make pretty wide. So what I'm going to do is I like this like kind of vein of gold going across, and I'm going to kind of split that guy. I think that looks pretty cool. Flip this thing around. Oh, totally dropped it. Oof. Come on. There we go. And Sierras are so easy to put together. Or what is this? Monarch. Monarchs are so easy to put together. Huh. What's going on there? The ink is kind of hanging out the end. I cut this too short or something? Okay, we're gonna move on to the other one real quick. Might be something wrong with that kit. I don't know. And then this one's the major pen kit. I don't know who exactly makes this, but it's kind of cool. It's got a little bit of a weird kind of band thing around the front. Interesting little. Got a jewel. It's bejeweled. Kind of cool. I think it was pretty cheap too. All right, so this one, I kind of like that side a lot. So we're gonna do it like that. That one went together really easy. Possibly too easy. If your parts are like loose, if you just add like a little tiny drip of CA glue in there, it'll fix you right up. Every once in a while you get like, I've definitely seen this with like some of the junior style kits. They'll be like, totally loose. No, I don't need to do that. So let me just push this one together. Look at that. I really like that kit with this blank. What do you guys think about that? Now, I don't know what the deal is with this pen though. Or this kit over here. There we go. It's almost like the ink isn't, or the spring isn't loaded enough. A little bit dirty. I really like that one too. I'm a big fan of this blank. I think there'll be more of those in my future. What do you guys think? Pretty nice. Three really nice looking pens. So overall, guys, I'm gonna have to say that the split cup is a-okay in my book. I think it depends on which way you do it, what kind of results you want and all that stuff, but I think that it's super simple. I mean, it's kind of idiot proof. And then, but you get good results. And I really think that this, like, I'm much less worried. I don't think that I would need to do too many iterations, too many batches and tests to see if it's, consistent, if you're going to get consistent results. I really kind of feel like you just pour it out, and there's not much going on there to get consistency. So I'll do a little bit more experimenting. I think it'll be pretty fun. I'm definitely going to be making some more of these blanks for the 4th of July. Hopefully I can get things done and all that stuff with surgery in the middle, but definitely going to make some more of those. I think I might go back and try this mix again the same exact way. I think for me, the one thing that I'm going to knock out that I don't think is worth messing with is, you got your colors in the cup and then trying to like move the cup around and I think that's just kind of, that you're adding complexity and just, it's not worth it. It's not doing much. I think if you want to get things mixed up, just dump the stuff in the hole and then get yourself a mixing, one of those little sticks. do that. Do the twisty method, however you want. You can get a straight one and just kind of, move it around. I think that's the way to swirl it up if you're going to do it. Use a stick. Otherwise, if you're just going to go for kind of a, and you could do probably like a 50-50, I think that would be really good. You kind of lose the third color a little bit, it looks like. I think if you tried to do 4 colors, that's just not going to be particularly awesome. But I think they do make the double, so like only 2 sides. I think that would be pretty killer for something like this. I think you would get a true half and half. Now, the third color, I think you'd probably want to go for what am I trying to say? I can't think of the word. Contrast. You want to use a contrast. So if you had 2 light colors on the outside, you'd want a contrasting dark color in the middle. I think that probably overall 3 colors is probably the sweet spot, but I think 2 could work, especially depending on what you're doing. But I think either way, dump the cup in and don't move it around. Just dump it, let it do its thing. If you want straight up, like divisions, just put it in the pressure pot. If you want to get some swirl, use the stick, move on, and then pop them out. So pretty cool. I wasn't expecting this experiment to go this well. I'm going to be honest. I thought it was going to be okay, not this well. So, thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think everything's going to be pretty good with the surgery. I'm not really looking forward to it. I always like to, I anticipate the best, but I'm prepared for the worst. And that's why, for customers and for you guys, with the streams, when we get back, that's why I'm always like, well, I don't want to be like, oh, it's going to be 3 days and I'm going to be back in the shop. The doctor kind of said about a week, like off your feet. So I'm going to stick with that. And then, the second week, hopefully I can do light stuff. So hopefully I can get some shipping done the second week. But in the worst case scenario, if they go in and there's, I don't know, something that they need to repair and it's crazy, then, we could be talking a little bit longer. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed this test. If you guys do any split cup tests or, if you make blanks or do all that kind of stuff, and you post pics on Facebook or Instagram, definitely tag me. I want to see what you guys make and see what kind of results you get too. We've done a couple tests, and I would say that for the most part, they were pretty consistent. Different colors, obviously, but I think things were fairly consistent, I feel, between the 2 different kind of, the 2 different ones that we didn't use a stick. They had definite similarities, and I think that you can probably get pretty decent results with this. So let me know let me see what you guys do if you post pics. So anyway, guys, I think that's about it. I'm going to wrap it up. Let's see here. Trying to think. I think I'm going to hold off on the red, white, and blue blanks. And I'll probably drop these guys. I'm going to wait. I'm going to do, more tests or whatever, but I'm going to try and release these hopefully before 4th of July, maybe after 4th of July. I don't know. So I think I'm going to leave those off, but I'm going to try to get, let's see, I'm guessing that these guys are the ones that I'm going to put in the boxes. So I might have these guys up on the website. So be looking for that. I'll try and see if I can get those things up on the website for anybody that's interested in those. And I think that's about it, guys. So anyway, have a great rest of the evening. Thanks for joining the fun. Big thank you to Stefan for super chatting. I appreciate that. And I think that's about it. So I can't wait to see what you guys make with this. And again, I'm going to be probably off the next 2 weeks, next 2 Saturdays. Probably won't be having a live stream, at least for 2 more Saturdays. And then the third one, I'm going to hopefully be back, and then it might be kind of like a shorter one, but we'll have to see what happens. I'll let you guys know. I'll post in the shorts and stuff, or maybe in the community. So make sure you're subscribed so you get those notifications. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining the fun tonight, and I will see you guys when we're back in the shop and I got a brand new knee. So have a good night, and I'll see you guys on the next one.